Hello and welcome to Tales from the Pit, the behind the lens access for the entertainment world and the creative people involved. Today we have a special guest. He's got so much stuff going on. He's got a new single that just dropped pretty recently called Don't Want to Be Right. He's got multiple residencies at several clubs. You have a killer radio show called Good Vibes Radio on Sirius and a few other syndications. And you are just a huge tour was just announced as well. I want to talk about all those things, but first I just want to say welcome to the show, Vinny Vibe. How you doing? Welcome to the show.
Good. Thanks for having me. I'm doing good.
Awesome.
Happy to be here. We can make this work.
Yep.
Yeah, you hit it all on the head. There's a bunch of stuff going on here for sure.
Yep. Before we start talking about all that stuff, you and I you played our venue last July-ish, whatever it was. And you and I had a little bit of a discussion about some of the stuff and some really cool stuff. But before we get too deep into that, can you talk about maybe how you led into the industry, how you got into the music, how what was your childhood? What was your, likes and, motivations and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, sure. So it started when I was like 11, 12 years old, just a kid at my parents' house, turning on MTV. That's when they used to broadcast Spring Break, right? And it was DJ Scribble DJing live on stage. And it just kind of drew me in. I was like, I want that in life. And one of my family members owned a nightclub locally. I'm from Rhode Island. He owned a nightclub in Providence. So as a young guy, I was able to kind of like sneak around and hang out kind of in the corners and see what's going on. So that really started like drawing me in. So during high school, I ended up going to hang out at one of the local hip hop radio stations on Sunday nights when they were doing like the on-air mix shows, which kind of fast forwarded to my senior year of high school. I got my first residency gig at a nightclub at 17 years old. And was playing nightclubs on Fridays, and then going back to school on Monday as the cool guy because I was in the nightclub this past weekend. So that's kind of how it all got started. Short version, that was I'm almost 36 now, so that we're going on almost 25 years since I've been DJing. But it kind of snowballed into, okay, I'm over making the local DJ money. I started throwing my own events and kind of just expanding outwards and upwards over the years, and just going around state to state, meeting new people. It's kind of brought me to where I am today. Yeah.
So let's unpack the cool kid in school doing the DJ stuff on the weekends. So I can't even imagine what experience you're having at that age. You're probably seeing some really cool opportunities you never even imagined, but you're also probably seeing maybe the good side and the bad side of the entertainment industry. I'm assuming, I don't know. Yeah. What was some of those things that you were learning as you're going through that at that age?
Initially, it's obviously fun. I was excited, and I still am to this day, but back then, in looking back now, I forfeited a lot of stuff from a high school and younger guy's life that you would normally do, hanging out with your friends on the weekends. Senior prom. I went to my senior prom. I left right after dinner so I could go DJ at a nightclub, So I was kind of like, forget all this. And, not that I regret it. I don't regret it at all, because if I could go back, I would do it again, you see a little bit of everything in the nightlife and entertainment industry, both the behind the scenes and, when everything's up and running. I guess you just kind of learn to black it out because there's so much nonsense. And, especially when you're on a stage or a DJ booth or whatever it is, you really have the bird's eye view of seeing it all. But man, I've definitely have had my fair share of incidents and, crazy people in clubs and fights and business deals going bad and shady promoters and, the list goes on and on. We could spend 5 hours talking,
Yeah, that's I assume when you go back to school, everyone's like, so dude, what was what's going on? What musically Are you involved with music at school as well? Is there sort of any, fall into that
so
sort of stuff?
I mean, in high school, I was in band. Don't tell anybody.
Yep.
So I was in band, middle school and high school. And as I started getting into DJing, I kind of moved away from that, and really found the fun and excitement in the DJing.
Yeah.
I guess, like I said, man, it was really stemmed from just seeing those images and that video on TV and seeing the excitement and the madness. There's something, we hung out for a little time there in New Hampshire, and my personality is just wild when I'm out in public. That's just who I am. I like to be around people. I like to party. I like to drink. I like to, just have fun. So that really just kind of grabbed all of my attention, and then nothing else mattered at that point,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. When I saw you, and fast forward a little bit, you are, we'll talk about it more, but you were on the Pitbulls Tour, and you have a lot of involvement. I kind of want to get into that in just a moment. But those shows are just insane. Just for me, that was my first Pitbull show, and that was just nuts. It was just crazy nuts.
He puts on a great show, and
all of you,
who doesn't?
Everyone in that, there was multiple DJs that you guys travel with and all that stuff. Everyone put on such a killer show. So so you've done a lot of DJing stuff. As a younger musician, you kind of, or you've kind of grown a little bit and stuff like that. You start your own, DJing stuff. At what point do you start getting into your own music, releasing your own songs and stuff like that?
Yeah, that's so, kind of all along, I was always doing edits and, like mashups back in the day, they were called.
Yep.
And about 6 years ago, I have music knowledge, and, I played instruments when I was younger and understand music theory, and have been kind of aligned and situated along a lot of these, EDM producers, and, just kind of working with all these guys. And I'm sitting there going, I'm playing, and I come from two different backgrounds. So I'm going to sidetrack for a second. I come from two different backgrounds of music. I come from that 90s, early 2000s hip hop, which I love. Yep. But I also came up on that New York City underground house music, which I equally love. I for a while I was doing a lot of open format. I was fortunate enough to be able to play some underground after hour raves early on, and play some of these cool festival setting type events on spring break, and we'll touch on that in a little bit. But I was like 6 years ago, I'm like, my rates are good, I'm playing, but man, if I could be releasing my own music, now I can level up a little bit more and open up this whole new avenue that wasn't here previously. And that's what kind of really got me into it. And I was like, I'm holding myself back by not doing this, and I don't want to wake up in 20 years and be like, damn, I had the chance back then,
Right. Yeah. And just to jump back a little bit on the younger days, how was, I'm a musician as well. When we look back at our parents and what we're doing, they may not always understand the situation. Yeah. How was that dynamic going?
My parents, I love them to death, and they are since day one supportive. I'll be honest with you, never went to college. They never pressured me to. Yep. I was very fortunate to have them as a support system there. Because it helped get me to where I am now. Sometimes it's still lean on mom and dad, but they came out, they support, the show the night before I was with you, they were right there front row with my sister, my wife, everybody partying, nice. Early on, especially when I started playing some of the bigger clubs in the Northeast, they'd come out, they'd hang out, they'd have a couple of drinks and have fun. So, that's they definitely helped push me forward and saying, hey, you don't got to go to school. Just, I'm not telling anybody watching this, don't go to college. I'm just saying it happened to work for me.
Yeah. I totally agree. I had a very similar path as well. And, just having that support really makes a huge difference in regards to your confidence, your delivery, your just your focus in general. Yeah. That makes a huge difference. Absolutely. Let's see. Let's talk about going on the road. I guess I'm not you can lead me in certain directions if you want, but
yeah.
How do you get to the point where you can now take what you do on the road?
Oh, I have conversations with a lot of my friends and guys I meet along the way, and there's a very tight knit of DJs and producers that have been around me, and we've been friends since 10, 15 years ago. And some of them recently, yesterday, actually asked me the same question, and it's a very hard thing to describe because it's not a blueprint of like do these steps,
right,
and then there you go.
Right.
It's based off of multiple levels, I guess. The first level being you have to have a good music selection and be able to DJ and be able to hold yourself in front of a crowd of 100 people or 10,000 people, right? The amount of people there doesn't matter. Secondly, it comes from having the relationships with the bookers, the owners, the promoters, the radio people, whoever it may be that has involvement on these shows. On top of that, it's being able to, one, either building up your brand enough that when somebody books you, you're actually pulling people in that market to, one, purchase tickets, or two, purchase a VIP table if it's a nightclub.
Yep.
And then, aside from that, being able to have your network and the people who work with you closely on your team, being able to make sure you're executing all the business end of the stuff properly, the email blast, the social media, the this, the that, and you can only do it for so long on your own until you're like, I need some help here.
It's a lot.
It's all, and I've said this for years now, it all comes from your relationships. At the end of the day, it all comes from there initially,
Yeah, absolutely. Totally. It's really about having a good, solid foundation of trust with the people you can work with. Absolutely. And a lot of the things you talked about here have changed a lot over the last, 10, 15 years in regards to how things are done. And it's a constantly evolving process too, that I've at least experienced with, now you have to learn how to do social media. Now you have to learn how to do this thing. Now you have to do, all these new things every couple of years get added to your list of things that you need to be an expert on, basically.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm going to show my age right now, but I'm a partner with a college company, and that's what we'll touch about spring break. But back in when I started DJing, probably the ages like 17 to like 22, 23, none of that existed. So I literally remember DJing, opening up for the headliner, getting a box of flyers for the next night's show, going out in the freezing cold, rain, snow, fights outside, doesn't matter what's happening, and throwing a flyer on every single windshield you possibly could, as quick as you could, to promote it. So when the social media stuff started taking over, I'm like, I don't have to go do this.
Yeah, thank
God. I can just post something online. Yeah, I know. Thank God is right, because I mean, man, those were, but I think those times molded me into who I am. Where now, and I give a lot of credit to a lot of these younger guys because they're still hustling, but some people come into the game new and they're like, I can just post a flyer up and throw a party. Like, that's not how it works. That's not how this goes.
It is tough, especially, obviously with COVID and stuff like that. It is so tough to get people to an event or anything like that. You've got to really work it. And then once you build your brand and that brand kicks in, then you can start, utilizing your tools and stuff like that. But it is really hard.
It is, for sure. I mean, listen, I'm the first one to admit I didn't take the full advantage of COVID that I should have.
Sure. Yeah.
I know a lot of guys, like music production wise and that stuff. Sure. Spending time with the family. Absolutely. But I think I could have been a little bit more creative in the social media rather than I just went dark. I was just like, it's over. I'm just taking a year off right now because what else am I going to do?
Yeah. I mean, the COVID thing, for me personally was actually, we went dry at our venue. Obviously, we shut down for all of 2020, and then we weren't sure what was happening in 2021. We started getting a lot of announcements early, or a lot of shows scheduled early in the year, but things kept getting rescheduled. So we were like at this point, and I think a lot of the fan base has this issue as well. Is do I buy a ticket and then risk it being moved to a date where I can't attend or something like that? So there was a lot of that going on. But, you know, like I said, you guys came out. If you didn't sell out, you're probably pretty damn close to sold out. It was super back there. And, you know, I'll also say that you guys have a pretty good looking crowd too.
yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you one thing. I say to everybody, your venue was one of my favorite venues that we went on that tour. I'll tell you, the back of house, you guys have the pool, you get all the food. Being New England, when I walked in, I was like, "There's seafood. This is great. I'm home."
Yep.
You know.
Yep. Great catering. We got the pool. We got mini golf. You get
everything.
Lake right nearby. Everything. All that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, we'll talk about the new show stuff coming up in a second. But I was a little bit bummed that I didn't see you guys on our venue for this show. At least not yet, anyway. So.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either. But you know, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen?
Right. Maybe. So let's jump into the spring break stuff. So you had mentioned that a few times. And that's a pretty big influence, you had said. In your direction. So talk about that. Yeah.
Fast forward, you know, from the age of 17 to 27, I was running and DJing, but a bunch of college venues in Providence, Rhode Island. And as you know, being my neighbor, we have a ton of schools in Providence.
Yeah.
We have a ton of schools in Providence. And I got in contact with the company through a mutual friend, ironically out of Los Angeles, but the company is based out of Boston, called Student City. And they're actually the company that travels all the students to spring break, put on all the spring break parties, you know, with MTV and all that stuff, and started DJing spring break events because I had college kids that I could market the events to. Fast forward all these years later, I'm a partner in the company now. So you know, there's always, it's just off of who you know. Again, you know, it all stems back to, you know, just have that work ethic and, you know, have some good friends along the way, and you know, sky's the limit. Yeah.
So when it comes to spring break, was that, and we had jumped ahead a few years, but was that sort of the biggest thing you had done at that point?
To date, that was definitely the biggest thing. Yeah, it was probably around, you know, my wife just literally found something on my Facebook that popped up. And it was the first spring break I did in Acapulco. And I want to say, I think it was 13 or 14 years ago. Yeah. Right around 13, 14 years ago, for sure. Maybe a little bit longer. Yeah.
So walk me through what you remember of that. I mean, were you there? So you're in a beautiful location. You're surrounded by a bunch of crazy, awesome people. You're doing what you love. I mean, that's just like the maximum, like, overload of sensory stuff going on.
Oh yeah.
What do you remember? I mean, I know it's.
I remember a lot, but I can't talk about it all. No,
that was the other thing I was gonna say. I don't know what you can talk about, but yeah, I mean, when it comes to big shows like that, do you still get like nervous and stuff like that for stuff like that?
Yes and no. I think it's a different type of nervous now. Younger, it was more of I'm gonna throw up type of nervous.
Yeah.
Now it's, I've done these over and over, but it's like a nervous, anxious excitement.
Yep.
Where I feel like if anybody, or me especially, if I don't have that, I shouldn't be doing it. You know,
right.
I still want that feeling. Because it pumps that adrenaline in you to go out there and do it. I mean, still to this day, I still get nervous, especially when I'm playing newer markets, newer venues in front of newer crowds. If it's not somewhere that I played before, you know, there's like, the owners and the bookers and the promoters are here. These so-and-so people are backstage and they can hear everything. Crap. I can't mess this up, you know, because especially it's like, listen, art, everybody is performing, right? But for a DJ, we're really just out there with a bullseye on us by ourselves most of the time. And it's like, oh man, you know, there's really all those eyes on me, and you can't really slip up. You do, but you try not to.
Right. And, you know, again, fast forwarding a little bit, but when you're DJing for like Pitbull or something like that, I mean, your job is sort of to kind of pump up the crowd, which you guys did awesome for.
Yeah.
I mean, so there's that added pressure as well. It's like, all right, I got to get these guys going.
Yeah, that's exactly it. You just take your knowledge, just like anything else, right? We all learn from our mistakes, and as you play more and more shows, and certainly like you kind of get that overall sense of, hey, this is what I'm DJing tonight. This is my time frame. This is who's on before me and after me, and this is what I need to deliver.
Yeah.
And you kind of get a good sense for it after a while, so it becomes a little bit more easy in the preparations of the sets, and knowing when not to be on the mic and when to be on the microphone and that type of stuff. But yeah, that feeling in your stomach never goes away, for sure.
Yeah.
It's either that or the tequila. Maybe it's a mix of both. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Sometimes one helps the other.
Yeah.
And I'm skipping around here a little bit, but when it comes to your setup and your equipment and stuff like that, and again, as I mentioned, stuff changes a lot over the years. What is when you're going up like now or something like that, what is it that you need to have with you? What is your sort of setup that you require?
You ready? See that? You see this little Louis Vuitton pouch?
Yep.
This is what's in it. 1 USB.
Okay.
2 USBs. Earplugs. Backup USB.
Man, that's
my headphones. Yeah.
That's so much better.
Keep in mind, off camera, I have my original turntables and all my vinyl collection over there.
Right.
And I used to go into nightclubs with 6 crates of records.
Yep.
Book of CDs for the stuff that you didn't have on vinyl. And we used to even travel with that stuff, so it's a nice lightweight package. It goes right in my pocket now at this point.
So much better with today's technology. Absolutely.
Oh, thank God for it, man.
Well, that's totally cool. I mean, you can travel really. I mean, if you're, like you said, the old days, you have to carry tons of stuff, and travel becomes very challenging with all that stuff and everything like that. So that's really cool that you can kind of keep it light. Is there ever a situation where like you're running into some technical issues, and have you had to work through sort of things like that?
Knock on wood. It's usually not on the end of the USBs or anything like that.
Yeah.
Listen, sometimes files get corrupt.
Yeah.
Things happen. So do people. They get corrupt too. But no, I keep a backup of my whole set, everything, all the data files on my Dropbox. So that's why I carry 3 USBs, one at a time. Everything links together, and I can pull off of one. But worst case scenario, if anything ever fails, then I could just grab a blank USB and copy it over. Yeah. I mean, listen, sometimes, it's outside. You have the equipment breaks sometimes.
Yeah.
Overheats if you're doing a day party, the sun's on it. A drunk girl spills a drink. You run into those things from time to time. But, like I said, more often than not, it's usually smooth sailing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's move over to your creative process. I mean, like I said earlier, you've dropped a single pretty recently with "Don't Want to Be Right." Yeah, and that was in March, I believe, right?
It was, yeah.
Yeah. So, talk about your creative process with that. What is your influences to go into the what you're creating and all that stuff?
Yeah. So more recently, the pure house music has been coming back. Where it's just straight house, and Vassie's been a friend of mine for a while. She's had a ton of records out with a ton of other big artists, and she had that vocal kind of sitting there that she wasn't doing anything with. Kind of had some of the pianos in the background and stuff like that. So I was like, let me take a stab at it. It's sitting there listening. First, you got to fall in love with the vocals, and I'm the type of guy. If it's a vocal record that I'm working on, I don't want to create the music and then go find a vocal.
Right.
I've done this before, because sometimes when you do that and then the vocal comes back, you're like, uh-oh, this is garbage. What do I do? So I like to go and find the vocals and then work backwards off of that. And it kind of gives you a better feel for what the sound should be like. So listen to the vocal 100 times in a row until I don't want to hear it anymore. And I take a little bit of a break from it. Like I have a full thing. And then I'll go and I'll listen to reference tracks, right? And I'll just go to what's currently out, what I like, what has vocals on it, what kind of sounds similar, and I'll kind of like play that out, add everything to like a private playlist on Spotify, and just in the car, flying, whatever, just listen to that over and over and really like start getting into the depth of, oh, these are the sounds and this is this, and kind of, deconstructing them. And then I just dive into it. I'm not a guy that I can't bring it home all the way myself. So there's people that help me on the mixing and mastering and stuff like that. And sometimes we have a little bit of live instrumentation, and I can't play every instrument. So there's some people that help along, but it's just literally sitting there, and it's just starting to play over and over and over with sounds and playing with the melodies, and it's really trial and error.
Yeah. I was looking at your song, and first of all, I was actually really digging. Which song was it? Oh shoot! What song was that? I was going through all your songs on Spotify. I think it was on Spotify, and there was one song I was like, this has a nice killer vibe, but drum beat and everything too, and I forgot what it was. Shoot. Thanks for the memory.
Oh, thanks for the memory. So yes. early on, we're starting to really now focus more on a sound of similarity for all my releases.
Yep.
For the radio and pop and dance stuff, and then we're working on right now some stuff straight for the clubs and like big room, just club records. But early on, I was just playing around like, oh, I like this, I'm gonna try this. Oh, I like a little bit of a harder track, I would play, and kind of was bouncing around there. So as anything, music changes, and trying to stay with the times. So, but all of those, that one, there's a few others on there too. That one of the first records I did was a remix kind of in that style for somebody. And man, 10, 15 years from now, I can't wait to sit back and listen to some of the stuff like, oh no, what was I doing?
Yeah, well, I mean, some of that stuff, I mean, for you, for me as a musician as well, I will create something and then I'll be like, man, this is killer. And then like the next day I'll go back and listen to it. I'm like, what the hell was I thinking? That is not even remotely good. I don't know what.
Yeah.
Do you have that? Do you have that sort of situation with your stuff, or?
Oh man, all the time. I have a top secret folder that's called the Graveyard.
Yeah.
Some records that just never made it to the light of day because we couldn't come to terms. Some records that will never see the light of day because I don't even want anybody to know about it. And we can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
All right, I just disconnected for some reason.
Okay.
But sorry, that threw me off. We'll go back to the question quick.
No, we're talking about the sometimes we have songs we don't want people hearing.
Oh yeah. So listen, this folder literally just, man, I actually went through a couple of records today. To be honest with you, I was in the car with my wife driving back, and we heard a song that just came out, and the melody on the drop, I was like, man, this sounds familiar. And I literally was like, hold on. So I pulled it up, and it's almost the same melody. And I was like, she looked at me, she's like, is that bad or good? I was like, well, that one's out, so I can't release this one now. There's some gems in there, but I'll be honest with you, a lot of them I'm like, ooh. I even listened to some of my early DJ mixes, and I'm just like, people booked me? People used to pay me to do this?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it, is the times. It's it's the learning process. It's
of course
you're just rolling with it, and that was the vibe of the moment. Whatever. Yeah, absolutely. I totally get that.
Yeah.
So I'm looking through a lot of your tracks. So you did "Dirty Little Secret." One of the things that I was reading is one of your, I guess, 7 C's and "Dirty Little Secrets" were one of your more popular starting songs, or earlier songs?
Yeah, early songs. So "Dirty Little Secret" was with a good friend of mine, Lodato. I actually just had a remix come out for one of his newer records 2 weeks ago. And, especially around that time, it was 2017, I believe, December 17. There was a lot of these reborn cover records, and at the end of the day, especially in the club scene, people want to sing, right? And as much as I love making original songs with original vocals, sometimes people just want to hear familiar stuff. And we thought the song, especially coming from doing a lot of college parties, college kids love all of that emo rock from the early 2000s, and they'll sing at the top of their lungs. So, we picked that record, created it into what it is. And it's funny, still to this day, a bunch of DJs I know are always playing it, tagging us in it, and it still works. So
that's great. Yeah, that's great. It's a perfect combination of that song you're sort of familiar with, but with your vibe into it. It's actually really pumping. Yeah, totally. What about, tell me about the, Seven Seas.
Seven Seas was with a friend of mine. So we actually got linked. We're friends now. We weren't friends then. We got linked through my manager, who was doing some work with her, and she had the vocal available. I fell in love with it. Ironically, that song was actually used for my wedding video.
Oh, cool.
So yeah. And it was just like good timing with it. It was really just like the vocals pulled me in. She was awesome, easy to work with. I was getting married at that point too. I was like, oh, this makes so much sense.
It's all coming together. Yeah.
Yeah, all coming together. So yeah, that was fun. We got that one done rather quickly too. That one got a bunch of radio play, on dance radio stations and stuff. So yeah, that was a fun record for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, it looks like you have a lot of cool. I'm just looking through. So you're obviously on Spotify. You get a ton of stuff, and iTunes, stuff like that, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, all the streaming platforms are up on. Every single one.
Yep. Let's talk about and fill me in on things I may have missed in between, because there's a lot of stuff that you've done that I don't know the arrangement on. But let's talk about you're getting connected with Pitbull and the tours and stuff like that, the major tours. What I vaguely remember when you and I were talking, you were involved with a lot of production stuff. Can you kind of give me some ideas of some of the things?
A good friend of mine, Kevin, we worked together on a bunch of projects. Very close with all the Pitts camp and everything. We were all on the radio station. I'm on the radio station Friday mornings, and Pitt works with everybody who's been around forever. So a few of the guys that are, kind of run the radio station and stuff, Super Bowl was in Miami in 2020 in January. So we all ended up down there. We were kind of covering some of the stuff for the radio station. They had this like pre-game thing 2 days before. It was all press. All the Sirius XM was there and all the different stations. So we were there. Everyone hung out. Everybody went grab drinks later on, and just having like conversation, whatever. And then COVID happened. So over COVID, we're like, oh man, what are we doing? And we just started having very open-ended, light conversations of, oh, what's going on with this and that and blah, blah, blah. So we started talking about merchandise. And most artists have a ton of it, and some have their own brand. So we came together and came up with a brand called Timeless Miami. Which is Pitt's brand. Right now it has, his sunglasses, the iconic aviator sunglasses that he wears. And, then we got thrown, all of a sudden COVID was kind of over and the tour came about. So spinning off of that, making sure that we're getting that brand and starting to build it, got involved with all the tour merchandise, making sure that was all done. And, as you mentioned, all the globalization, which is the radio station on Sirius, all of the DJs, will play before Pitt, before he goes on stage. So, was working with all those guys on that stuff. And we had a bunch of other local DJs as well, friends of ours that were, playing the entryways and the VIP rooms for Live Nation and all that stuff,
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, that's a pretty big machine to be a part of too. There's so many parts to that, so many things going on. When it comes to like the road and stuff like that, you're spending how many days a year are you on the road? Well, for 2021, how many days a year were you on the road? That's a lot, right?
This is a guesstimate. I'm just gonna 230.
Right. Yeah. A lot.
Yeah.
What is the road like for you? So on your day on the road, what is your typical day like on the road?
Starts with the hangover. No.
Don't they all? Yeah.
Sometimes it does start with the hangover. Day on the road, I'll stop from home. Usually I like to get out, depending on the routing and how long I'm going away for, there's two things. I either leave extremely early, like 4 or 5 in the morning, or I'll leave mid-afternoon, depending on where I'm going. I'm the type of guy, I travel very light. Carry one backpack and a carry-on suitcase.
Nice.
It doesn't fit in the carry-on. It's not coming with me. I'm not checking a bag. I don't care. I like to be on the go. If I forgot it or if I need it, I'll buy it wherever I am. That's that's the mentality there. Usually really simple. Once I get into whatever city, check into the hotel immediately. Because I travel so much, you know, I get those nice 2-3 p.m. checkouts sometimes. Check in the hotel, shower, change. I have a lot of friends in a lot of cities, so we usually try and meet up with some of them. Sometimes I do have meetings scheduled in some cities, depending on where. Usually meet up with the promoters, stuff like that, do the promo dinner, sound check, hang out somewhere, have a couple of drinks, go do the show. Sometimes there's after parties. You know, stumble back into the hotel room 4, 5, 6 in the morning, shower, change, and sometimes, I'll be honest with you, it's straight to the airport and don't even sleep and just figure it out the next day and sleep on the plane, or, you know, sleep for a few hours and wake up miserable and do it all over again. So I've tried to cut down on the drinking when it's in and out of a city. It's too much. I learned that very early on Pitbull. Like the first 2 nights I had like a couple drinks. Next morning I was like, yeah, this isn't happening.
Can't do it.
Yeah, can't do it.
Yeah, and the older we get, the harder it gets too.
It's brutal. It's brutal. But hey, that's where the the Pedialyte, Revitalite, friends of mine, they have a company, Revitalite. It's the adult version.
Gotcha.
Yeah, nice. I carry that everywhere now.
Nice. So when you travel, and you're not doing tour bus stuff, you're just flying from location.
Yeah, I'm flying. There's been times where I've been on buses, very sporadically. Yeah. Bus life just isn't for me.
Yep.
You know, as much as they're fun, I just like to. I'm a very private guy when I'm actually in my own space, so I like to, you know, hold that dear to my heart, my privacy.
Yeah. Now, when you travel, are you by yourself, or do you have a crew with you, or are you just
usually? So, like when I was on the road with Pitt on that tour, obviously there's a ton of people, so kind of always with somebody. When I'm doing my own stuff, usually travel with 1 or 2 people. If it's a venue I've been at a bunch and I'm friends with everybody there, I'll travel by myself.
Right.
It's also nice because I get a nice little like alone time traveling, like earpods in, hood up at an airport, just being left alone and just some people watching, you know?
Yep. Nice. Yeah. It's good. Good to kind of get that one, get some time, just to kind of clear your brain, think about whatever it is you want to focus on. Yeah, absolutely. When it comes to traveling and family, because you had mentioned you have, you're married, you have a brand new child. What is, and have you traveled yet since you've had a child? Yeah.
So, I traveled up until 3 weeks before the baby was born.
Right.
Which was the tour. The tour ended middle of October, and the baby was born middle of November. And I actually traveled one night the week before the baby was born, but I was close. I was where I could get home in 45 minutes on a quick flight if I had to.
Yep.
Didn't really try. The first few months I stayed off, but I started traveling again immediately in March for spring break. I was actually gone. I was home 3 days in March.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yep.
And she's good with it, man. she gets it. She used to work with me at a nightclub in Connecticut. That's where I met her. That itself was a battle to get her to date me because, she saw me once a week for 5-6 years in a nightclub, single.
Yep.
So, that was a challenge in itself, but, no, she's good. She traveled with me almost every show, honestly, up until she got pregnant.
Oh, wow. Awesome. Awesome.
I mean, obviously COVID, we weren't doing anything, but besides getting pregnant,
that's pretty common through COVID right now too.
Yeah. But she's great. I call every morning, call every night. I'll FaceTime her. My favorite thing right now, I'm getting sidetracked, but especially on the spring break, I was in so many places, I'd be FaceTiming her. She'd put the baby on. The baby loves to see himself. And we'd be on FaceTime. I'd like take a bottle of tequila and cheers him and take a shot and show him the crowd. But yeah, overall it's been easy. Like I said, I mostly right now it's, I leave on a Thursday, I'm back Saturday, I'm back Sunday, I'm back Monday, whatever.
Yep.
So I have the time, and I don't care where I am in the country, world. If I get 3 days off, I'm coming home.
Yeah.
Every time. And I think that's what helps, because she knows that I'll go out of my way to get back home to go back out.
That's killer. Yeah.
That's killing me, but
I used to travel a lot when my daughter was just born, very similar as you, and try to come home on the weekends as best I can and stuff like that. And I'd say, for the first 3 or 4 years, it actually was no issue at all. At some point for me, it started becoming an issue when they got older and stuff, and I wanted to be more involved with school and stuff like that. But yeah,
that stuff's already sitting in the back of my head, where it's like, I know it's coming. So my way to combat that is make as much money as possible, where I can just bring them with me.
Yeah, exactly. And that was going to be my next thing is, families. I mean, it's pretty common now if you can afford to do that, to just take your family with you.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, obviously the back-to-back days are a little extreme for that, but we'll see what happens, And
that's when you get the Vinny Vibe tour bus, get the family on there. You get to go.
On it. I throw them on the tour bus. I go, I'm taking a flight. I'll see you guys in the next city. I would never. You're taking all the fun away from a tour bus, putting my wife and kid on there. What are you doing? Right.
All right. So when it comes to, being on the road and stuff like that, you had mentioned our venue as one of the nicer spots, but do you have is there places you must go to for shows? Is there favorite places in, locations, all that sort of stuff?
So, for his stuff, obviously they're all amphitheaters or arenas, and they're all beautiful and they're all fun.
Sure.
Your venue just really hit back home. I could get there in an hour and 15 minutes from my house if I needed to.
Nice.
And the hospitality was great, and all these venues are good. Stepping on my DJ side and what I do solo. New York City is my favorite city in the whole entire world. I said it. I'm gonna have friends real mad at me, but I love it. There's something about that city. I've always loved it. I'm there literally once a week if I'm not on the road. I'm actually playing there this Thursday, but I was there this past weekend, and I happened to swear I proposed to my wife, and everything stems back there. I love Miami. Small doses. I love Vegas. Same thing, small doses. Cancun, man. Spring break, Cancun. Those clubs, the people, the venue, everything. The restaurants. It's next level. It's next level.
Perfect time of year. Everything. Yeah, absolutely.
We're getting too sick of the cold up here. I'm like, I'm going to the tropics for a month. See everybody. This is actually the first year my wife hasn't been on spring break with me since we've been together. So I was rubbing it in a little bit. I'm like, babe, look at all this food. Sending her pictures. She's like,
that might not be a good idea to keep doing that.
No. I give it to her. It's all right.
Yeah, that's cool. When it comes to, I mean, obviously we've talked all about music and stuff like that, but when it comes to hobbies and stuff like that, do you have anything that you just want to get away from music? Any hobbies that you do that you just kind of stand away from music or anything like that?
Yeah. So there's a few things. So I've always been a big history buff guy. Mm-hmm. So I guess it's not really a hobby, but I love documentaries, museums, that type of stuff. Over COVID, I was losing my mind. All my friends locally, golf. So I picked up golf, fell in love with golf.
Oh, cool.
During COVID, there was a few courses that you could still go play. I was playing 2 rounds a day, like playing 18 in the morning, having lunch, playing 18 again. Love that. And I love shooting.
Cool. Yep.
We're up north people, so you guys up in New Hampshire, just everyone's got them. But
yeah, no kidding.
I like going to shooting. Yeah, it's fun. I guess those are my 3 hobbies. Besides that, I don't have hobbies.
Do you get to
work is my hobby.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's the best hobby to have too. When it comes to being on the road this year, are you going to try to, get involved with more golf courses? Maybe go to a shooting range, do any of that stuff?
I want to. I love golfing, especially like I played in Cancun. I played in Cabo when I was there, and some other places. I hate renting golf clubs, but I love my golf clubs.
Yeah.
But like I told you, I travel light.
Yeah.
I'm not. So in the golf thing, it just takes up so much of the day. So unless I'm somewhere for 3, 4, 5 days, that doesn't really make sense. I am in Vegas at the end of this month playing a show, and I really want to go in the helicopter with the machine gun. Have you seen that?
I've heard of it. Yeah.
Oh, it's so sick. Yeah, I need to do that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
She's like, it's $3,500. I was like, I don't care if it's $1 million. I want to shoot a machine gun outside of a flying helicopter.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, that's crazy, man. That'd be awesome. You have to put some video or photos on Instagram.
Oh yeah. Oh well, that was a full package. They get videos. They take the pictures.
Oh, you get
like 4,000 rounds, like all this crazy stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that'd be totally cool. Do you have like any favorite? I mean, who knows if the more recent ones, usually the more recent, but do you have any favorite like tours or any favorite, sort of things or performers you've worked with or anything like that?
I mean, everybody is essentially a favorite, not to sound weird, but everybody's great to work with in their own way, right? I get to brush shoulders with some of the most infamous, known celebrities, A-list artists in the world. And I get to meet some great new up-and-coming artists that you turn around a year later and you're like, holy shit, did you see what that guy's doing now? It's fun. I really do. I've never, again, knock on wood, I don't think I've really ever had a bad experience with any artist or DJ or anything, Listen, we're all there for the same reason, and we're all just everyone's just having fun, There's certain DJs that I personally enjoy their brand and the way they play and the music they release more than others, sure. But I every single time I see somebody else perform, it amazes me. Yeah. Every time. Yeah. Yep. Every single time. I turn to like a little fanboy,
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. I mean, me being the photographer for a lot of this stuff, I get to kind of do that, quietly on the side too. So it's really exciting to be able to work with such a wide variety of super talented people. So it's really awesome. Fun. When it comes to, 2022, you as just recently announced, you have a major tour getting ready to kick off here. I forget when it starts, but with the Pitbull and Iggy Azalea, and that'll be probably most of your year, I assume.
Yeah, there's like I said, there's a bunch of the globalization guys doing it. So this year it's actually almost double the dates of last year's tour. Wow. So it's Iggy and Sean Paul's also on some select dates. Yeah. So I'm gonna kind of flow in and out of it. I'm gonna be in, I'll be at a lot of the locations, especially on the East Coast. But I have some touring dates for me as well, and make sure all the guys from Globalization are gonna, like I said, play all the different stages. I'm actually gonna be at the Xfinity Center one. In
Mass.
Yeah.
Yep. Awesome. Are you gonna be in the Bangor, Maine one?
So actually, my business partner Kevin is from Bangor, Maine.
Oh,
Originally.
really?
So yeah,
cool.
I'm gonna come up there that night. He's gonna be there, but yeah, that's his whole family's from up there. Yeah, he's originally a Maine guy.
Oh, cool. All right, I'm a Maine guy too, so I might try to hit that one. We'll see.
That'll be good. Did you get my number? So we'll just
totally.
Yeah, he was he moved to San Diego. Now he's actually living in Texas America, we call it. He's down in the Fort Worth, Dallas area, but originally from Maine.
Nice.
Big Red Sox fan, so I purposely wear a Dodgers hat every time I'm around them because it really pisses them off.
When it comes to the Red Sox or the Yankees, everyone always sort of does that same thing.
Yeah, here's the thing. I don't watch sports at all. Yeah. I never have, don't care. So like if I'm around a friend that I know they really hate a team or their first team, I'll go to the lengths to piss them off. Because they know I don't like it too, so it gets them even more angry.
Yep.
Why wouldn't you just wear a Red Sox hat? Because I don't want it.
Yep. When it comes to, all right, so for 2022, you have a pretty big schedule. What's next for you in regards to, are you dropping you have anything new you're going to be dropping that you can talk about or anything like that?
Yeah, I can't say the labels they're on yet.
Yeah.
Because I am very superstitious and a couple of contracts on signed. But right now it's looking like this is April, so it's looking like the second week in May, second week in June, and then right around July 4th. So I have 3 different ones signed right now. I'm coming out back to back to back like that. And now we're kind of in the process over the next 4 or 5 weeks of getting some more vocals in and looking at what's for the second half of this year.
Cool. Awesome. Do you have when it comes to putting it out, do you have a preference? Like, do you prefer streaming? Do you prefer digital download or anything like that? Or is it just all the above?
Ask that again. I'm sorry.
So when it comes to releasing your stuff, do you prefer it to be on streaming or digital download, or do you care? Is it all the above?
All the above, I guess.
Yeah.
There's the big thing going around now about artists and streaming and payouts and all that. And it's, listen, it's great to be on all of the platforms because you never know who's listening and who you're getting covered and gaining that new fan. So it's great to have it everywhere. Radio is obviously first and foremost, but I look at streaming like the new version of CDs, It's just the access to go back and listen whenever you want. Digital download's great, obviously, because that money goes mostly to the artist.
Right.
Yeah. So, it's the artists are making the monies from the shows and the merchandise these days.
Yeah, totally.
Not so much the music.
I mean, I forget who, I don't know, Gene Simmons. Someone said it. We're just the musicians are just glorified T-shirt salesmen or something like that. Yeah, that's all it is. It's all merch. Let's talk about your radio show. So you do a weekly radio show called Good Vibes Radio on Sirius XM and some streaming. Some other syndicate as well, right?
Yeah, Dash Radio. It's on. We also get it up on Apple Podcasts and all that, so people can go back and listen. The host of my show is Raquel Goldie. She was originally on FM radio, dance radio in Miami. Just knew her through mutual friends. I was like, hey, I hate my voice. Do you want to be the voice? She's like, yes. And I love EDM, so let's do it. We have a bunch of guest mixes on there. The idea of the Friday morning show on Sirius, was let's bring the club party fun to the radio and let people be able to play it back over and over. So that's why you'll see a lot of guest mixes on there from everybody from Afrojack to, an up and coming guy, right? Giving them the platform and letting them promote their new music and just giving people something that they enjoy as well. So that's kind of the basis on all that. And it's been doing good. I think she's been on for a year with me now. So it's 2 years since the radio show started.
Awesome.
Seems like yesterday. Wow.
And it's probably, I don't know if this was born because of COVID, but it's like a good time to still be active when you can't be out necessarily, obviously during the beginning of COVID and all that stuff. So I'm assuming it was a pretty good mix for that time as well.
Yeah, it started a little bit before that. I want to say it was in May or June of 19 that we started. May or June of 19. Yeah. And then obviously once we got into COVID, it was just like the only thing I had left at that point. So we were able to definitely, grow it more, and we're looking to keep expanding and keep going and, getting bigger listenership for it and seeing what happens,
Awesome. That's awesome, dude. You got so much cool stuff going on. So where do people go to find you? Where are you on socials, on all that stuff? Where does everyone go find you?
Socials, website, everything is just at Vinny Vibe with a Y. I'm Italian. Don't spell it with an IE. And then just VinnyVibe.com. Everything's there. Instagram's where I'm most active. Twitter, TikTok. I could do better. I get yelled at every day from the people I work with. They're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, where's the time?
Yep.
But maybe we'll see. Hopefully this summer, I'll be able to push some more content out on the other platform.
Right.
But that's it. And I'm always traveling somewhere, so I always keep that updated on the site. And,
cool. So all your show dates, all that stuff. Yeah. Good. Awesome. Well, man, I can't thank you enough for doing this. When you and I talked originally last year, over a year ago, whatever it was, I was like, we were like just getting started on this podcast. I was like, man, I gotta get you on here. But things got in the way and time got lost and COVID and all that stuff. And I'm like,
I know.
And I saw you posting and I was like, oh, that's right. I got to get back to you. And so I'm really thankful for you to join us tonight.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely, man. Thank you for having me, like I said. And I'm sure we'll be seeing each other soon in Bangor, Maine. Yeah,
definitely. Hopefully you'll be back to our venue at some point as well.
Yeah, and I loved it there. Actually, so friends of mine, ironically, I met these people when me and my wife were working at a nightclub in Connecticut, and the guy, they own a house up there. They just bought a hotel right up the street from you guys.
Oh,
so
wow.
They actually came out there too. So they're always inviting us up there. So it would actually be a great place to bring the wife and baby if I get a couple of days off this summer.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, good luck. Yeah,
thanks. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, awesome, dude. Thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. We'll stay in contact. We'll talk to you soon.
Hey, thanks for watching this episode with Vinny Vibe. We hope you enjoyed it. You can check out our other guests, all our other episodes at all your favorite podcast locations. And on YouTube, search for Tales from the Pit Podcast. Remember to like and subscribe. Also, you can check out our website at talesfromthepit.net. We'll see you next time.